Hi everyone, Ernesto here from the Houzz Pro marketing team. In this video we're going to run through how to complete a drywall takeoff. This is going to apply to both commercial and residential plans. The material types, requirements, drywall sheet sizes may vary per project, but you'll see that the process would be the same using takeoffs in Houzz Pro. There are going to be timestamps below in the description if you'd like to jump ahead to a specific area of the video. We're going to be covering how to measure for a wall, windows and doors, ceilings, and then counting items like corner beads. Along the way, I will suggest some best practices and tips. We're going to build an assembly specifically for drywall. That way you can get a total sheet count and how many screws are needed depending on the square footage. I'll then showcase Automate for Takeoffs, our AI powered tool. And finally, I'll show you how to export the marked up plans along with the spreadsheet with all the measurements. To start a takeoff, you can do so from the project page by clicking Upload Plans. You have the option of uploading from your local machine or Google Drive. Once the plan is uploaded, you'll see everything load up on your left-hand side. We're going to jump into a takeoff that already has the loaded plan, and we'll go to this page right here, which is the floor plan. Best practice is to calibrate the page scale first, so we're going to do that on the left to bottom hand side. You have the option of selecting your unit of measurement along with a line width. For line width, you can select different thicknesses depending on the need. Our system is going to default to 1/4 of an inch equals a foot for every single page, but if that is not adding up, you can use the fine scale option. You can measure a known line and then type in the actual measurement to calibrate the plan, and that will set it up accordingly. But let's jump to 1/4 of an inch equals a foot for this one. That's the appropriate one. First, we're going to start with our walls. We'll select our line tool, and then from our group, we'll pick the single layer 1/2 inch. You can search the bar up here to, let's say, find a general one like drywall, or if it starts to get where you have a long list of groups, yeah, you can use that search. Let's go ahead and select just a standard drywall one. To begin a measurement, you click and then the line will follow you around. So every click will anchor the measurement. And as you can see, I'm going around some of these walls. I'm just going to get the bedroom number 1 for now. Once measured, best practice is to immediately go to add the height to the group. We'll change the line width just to showcase the difference and measure a little bit more of this bathroom and the kitchen. Now to add the height, you can go to that group, click on that cube, and then type in the height. We're going to assume a 10-foot height for this one. You can see that the system automatically gives you the linear footage and then also the square footage right on the same screen. If you forget to add the height to the group from the beginning, you can always come back and add it later. Now let's look at a time-saving example. A lot of our pros like to measure first the exterior wall and assume that's going to be a single layer since it will only have drywall on one side, and then go back and measure the internal walls, which will have drywall on both sides. Measure that separately so that they can add a multiplier and account for both sides. So to add a multiplier, you just click on that cube and down here type in 2. Add in your height, and now you got your square footage. From here, in order to get a total square footage for the whole building, you would simply move the double layer to the original group and have the system total up the square footage for you. So in this case, we're moving again that double layer to that single layer, 1/2 inch, and it now shows me the full total of the square footage. It saves you time. Instead of having to do more clicks around the wall, you just essentially measure the wall once and add that multiplier. When it comes to windows and doors, a lot of our pros simply measure through them and just assume that the material is going to just be wastage. But if you are looking for better accuracy, you can start with a normal group, add in the height, but the next measurements that you make when it comes to the doors is you'll just measure the length of the door or that window and go into that group, click on that cube, and then put in the difference or what the difference is between the ceiling and your measured either wall or window. In this example, let's just assume that a window is 5 foot tall. You got a 10-foot ceiling, so the difference is going to be 5, so you just include that 5. Or if it's a door, an 8-foot, take 10 minus 8, and 2 is what you would do for that door to capture the top portion that's going to have drywall. To measure ceilings, you can use the rectangle or polygon tool. Here I select my group and then click, drag, and let go. That will give me immediately square footage. If I use the polygon tool, it works similar to the length. You click to start and then you anchor the measurement to each corner. And then when you're ready to close the measurement, you just double click. One tip is if you select the same group both for lengths and for square footage, which is the polygon rectangle, you can add both measurements to the same group and get a total. Counting is as easy as just selecting a group and then just clicking to drop a marker. You can resize them in the toolbar, and if you need to delete a specific one, you can click on move, click on that specific one, and then you'll see the delete button on the measurement drawer. Moving on to an assembly for drywall. So to access assemblies, you hover over company, go to my items, and you can toggle the filter for assemblies. I already built one for drywall sheet count, and it's based on the square footage unit. So in this first line item here, it's a 4x8 sheet. So to know what to put into the quantity, you need to know how much one drywall sheet covers. So 4x8 is 32 square feet. So this assembly is based on 1 square feet. So we're going to take 1 divided by 32, and that's the number that I would put into my quantity section. I'll leave it as a material. And then similarly for a 4x10 sheet, I would take 4 times 10. That would give me 40. And same idea. Take 1 divided by 40. And this is the number that I would put into the quantity section. All the sheets sizes will vary, but it's basically the same math. Now let's take drywall screws, for example. I'm going to create that group here, that item, and we'll assume that there's 18 screws needed for 1 drywall sheet. It may vary per your workflow or for your business, but in this example it's 18. We'll take 18 divided by 32, which is what a drywall sheet covers, and that's what's going to give us our number for the quantity. You can play around with this, add your unit cost in here, markup, unit price, but let's jump into a takeoff and look at what that will look like in terms of doing a measurement and getting to an estimate. And we're going to showcase our Automate, which is our AI powered tool for takeoffs. You can quickly see all the available Automate eligible pages by clicking this middle tab on the left hand side, but know that they are only available for 2D floor plans like this from a bird's eye view. Once on an Automate page plan, you can turn it on by clicking on the toggle in the top left hand corner, then selecting the tool that you would like to use. Let's do a quick drywall takeoff that's going to include both ceilings and walls in the same group using that assembly that we just created. So on the right hand side, you'll see assemblies instead of this takeoff. You pick from that, and it's as simple as just hovering over a room and clicking. I'm not speeding this up. This is real time. And I'm just hovering over a room and the outline appears. And for every click, the system is going to automatically put that into the measurement drawer. Now, this is going to get you very close to a complete takeoff. As you can see, the hallway is not quite there. It's not picking that up. So you might need to just toggle it off and manually measure those sections. But it really quickly just got me the whole footprint of this building. If you by mistake forget to select a group before you make a measurement, you can always move them afterward, and that will, you'll see, turn into orange colored and then be in the right group. Similarly, if you have multiple measurements, let's say I have those two right there, you can select them both by clicking on the box left of them and then going to one of the measurements and moving it, and it will pick up both of them and move them together. Now that I got my ceiling, I'm going to go ahead and hide it. You can hide any layers by clicking on that little eye icon. And we're going to go to turn on automate, select now the length tool, but choose the same assembly group. This will now show a drop down called separation type, and this will power our AI, gives us some options. So no separation means it's just going to give me whatever it shows. So right now I can just hover over a wall and it will highlight it for me. I'm not going to click yet. Door centerline, if I go to a door, it will give me the door opening. Door window and junction, that's going to be the most accurate. It's going to cut at every corner, so it would be very accurate. I can go around and click every section, and I can essentially follow the wall, and it will give me specific measurements up to that change of direction. Now let's look at that specific one. So window centerline is the last one I'll just showcase. I'll look for a window. I think there's one at the bottom of this plan here. And if you hover over a window, it's essentially just gonna give you the measurement for that opening. But here's where the magic, really the automate shines. I'm gonna go ahead and select plot all automatically. And we are going to delete what we had before. Select that group assemblies one more time and go into that drop down for separation line, and we're going to select door window and junction, and in just one hover and one click the system is going to plot all of the points for me. Let's keep scrolling. It just adds all the measurements all at once without me having to hover around every single wall. Just going to add the height here to make that square footage, and you can see, like I mentioned, if you select the same group across different kind of tools, rectangle and polygon, and the length, you will be able to have one total for both. So you'll have both the ceiling and the walls together. Now I'm just going to go back here and do door centerline, plot all automatically, and then get the missing parts like the door openings. I will click once, and then the system is going to add. They're going to be added at the bottom of a measurement drawer. You'll see that they will just have linear footage. They will not have square footage because they don't have a height yet. So I'll simply go in here and then add the difference of 2 feet to account for that top of those doors. But I'm basically done with my takeoff here. You can go in, click each line item, finish that off. But if I scroll all the way to the top, I got a total of 6,000 square feet. So we're going to go and take that, review and estimate, get you a total for everything, and then start new estimate will take us to this screen, which is where our assembly really does the magic. So you got 6,000 square feet. For 4x8 sheets, you need 192. If you were doing 4x10, you need 154. And then 128 4x12s, and the screws we need about 3,466. That's all based on that square footage that we calculated on that takeoff and using that assembly together. Next, let's export our plan. So we'll go back to our takeoff and then show you instant downloads. On the left hand side, you see all your page thumbnails. We're going to go to the one that we just did with automate. Click on the 3 dots, and then you get an option to download the page. That immediately will download this specific takeoff to your machine. You can see it's got the legend on the separate page and then the marked up plan on the first page. The other option is to click on save to files. This will generate an email and send it to you, as well as add the marked up PDF to your files and photos of that project. The Excel, if you go to review and estimate and click on download Excel, you'll see, I'll open it here in 1 second. You'll download this quote template with all the data. This is just one group, but if you had multiple groups, everything would be here. You can add your wastage, your unit cost, and build a quote right from this Excel spreadsheet. Now let's go back to the takeoff. We're going to go to the project and show you where to find the markups in the project, but you also get a notification that you can click on. It'll take you right to the place where you'll see takeoffs, a folder called marked up plans, which is right here. And if I click into it, you'll see a marked up plans folder that you can open, and then you'll see export 1. If you did multiple exports, if you made a change, there will be multiple folders in here for export 1, export 2. But this is going to include the marked up page alone without any legend. So in case the legend is covering the plan, you have the option of just using this version of it. You'll get this email, which will include those same 3 versions, the one with the legend overlaid on top. But if it's covering your plan, you have the option of just using the PDF file without it, with the legend on a separate page. This concludes our video, our tutorial for drywall using takeoffs for Houzz Pro.